I had a lot of apprehension before, which I do a lot of the trips we take, because I've got no idea. I've never gone on an Atlantic salmon fishing trip before.
Fredericton is right here.
I knew the fishing was very difficult, and I knew last year had been a tough year for me.
Okay, then we've driven up the river. We hit the Miramichi about right here. We're near McNamee.
Joe, I appreciate you bringing enough lunch for me. Do you have anything for my friend here?
This is about a little sweet pickle and a can opener is about all I get. Part of the concept of our show was to heck with it. We're gonna go. We're gonna go a bunch of crazy places we've never been before. I spent a lot of time looking at some four walls inside a doctor's office and inside an operating room in the hospital. So I want to get out and see what's going on, see if we missed anything.
We're on the Miramichi River in the center of New Brunswick, Canada, and you would get here by flying into Fredericton, New Brunswick, through Montreal or Toronto, or by flying into Bangor, Maine, and driving 4 hours north from Bangor to the Miramichi. So it's very easy to get to.
Miramichi is a fly fishing only river, so all the fishing is done with fly, rod, and reel and equipment. The way we fish the Miramichi is with our fly equipment using a down and across method, which is when we come to a pool on the river, we start out and fish about a 45-degree angle downriver and let the fly swing in the current till it's about straight below you, or there's no more swing. Then you just give a few strips and then you pick it up, pick your fly line up and take a few strips downriver and cast again, and just more or less repeat the process through a pool and cover all the water and try to get over taking fish.
Well, when you feel them, give them a little time. God save the Queen. Ah.
And there he is. I think the water's about in perfect shape, so we're very close to that. So, there it is.
Ooh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice fly.
All right.
Okay.
The copper killer.
The copper killer.
I feel so good today.
To the copper killer.
You know where I live, let's see, right now it would be probably, I'd say, 92 or 93 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
With 4 million hostile people. And it's a little easier to smile out here.
Well, what's really interesting about it is, like Bill Taylor told us in Tyler, what we're doing is kind of like we were doing at Lake Cham de Ray up there for lake trout in Canada last year. We're working the drop-offs and the edges with some small flies and trying to just kind of, they call it a dead drift. Let that fly just dead drift through that rapid and then get on the seam and strip it back in. And the fish could take it either on the strip or take it on the dead drift. So it's just a matter of working the area, working the shoreline, and just hammering away. Just persistence going to pay off. And you thought fishing shows were easy work. Little do you know. Work like a dog.
In the fall, the water's very, very cold, so the salmon are going to be a little lethargic. They're a cold water species, so their metabolism is geared down a little bit right now. So it's important to get the fly right in front of the fish if you can. Atlantic salmon, unlike trout or bass or whatever else you're fishing for, Atlantic salmon do not feed once they come into fresh water. So, it's tough enough to catch a trout. Well, now we're fishing for a fish that's not feeding, so it's doubly tough.
Tom Nelms, you're the man.
He's a fish.
They call him fourth quarter Tom.
Come on in here, fella. I say it's a brook trout. Bill, what do you think this thing is, Tyler?
It's like a brook trout to me.
Looks like a little brook trout, doesn't it?
Come on over here, close to me. I can't wait.
Let's show them off to America here.
Okay.
Yeah, check old George out over. There you go. Look at that.
Little buddy.
Hey, we didn't get skunked. All right.
Flies out of him nice and easy. We'll let him go.
Let him go.
Pretty fish.
We'll catch him again next year. That is pretty fish.
There he goes.
Where'd he go, Tyler?
Way to be, Tom.
That was your secret fly you put on there,
was.
too.
We're supposed to get the big salmon, but hey, right on.
The Real Guys are brought to you by Pennzoil Marine, the right equipment for fishing. By Toyota, every day belongs to you. Make it count. And in part by Metamore, delivering IT right now.
Hey, when you're from Texas, you want to spread the word.
Oh my gosh.
We got long
That
horns.
is night shirt heaven right there.
We got long horns in front, in back, on the side.
Fish, fish, fish. Set the hook. I gotta get a salmon.
When we started offering fishing trips to customers in 1928, or about 28, or the mid-20s anyway, the Miramichi has a certain mystique about it. It, you know, it really does the historical, you know, aspect of all the camps along the river and all the guides on the river that's bonded with customers from all over the world. They just keep, you know, they keep thinking about the Miramichi. They'll do all other rivers of the world, and they'll fly to, you know, all corners of the world to do their angling, but they call the Miramichi the home river.
Tyler, I'm thinking fish. My feet are getting cold. I need some action. That doesn't look too good.
That's a heavy, heavy current.
Yeah. This is what they call the Save the Show brook trout. He's fighting real hard, Tommy. I don't know if I can get him in. Where's my man with the big net when I need him? Oh, listen to him. He's gone crazy. It's a monster baby. It's a monster Billy. There he is, the Tommy Nels Memorial Brook Trout. And he's just about to fall off the hook. I'll show you how to release him without even touching him. Voila! Bill and I fished together one morning, started off the top of the pool and worked down very slowly, fished several hours, and my feet were really, really getting cold. And I caught one small brook trout about 12 inches long. I was getting a little bit discouraged, and then it got kind of close to noon, and Tommy kept yelling it's time for lunch.
I felt good today when we got up. I liked the conditions, and some of the guys were getting lazy and breaking for lunch, but Ken and I decided to persevere, and perseverance is omnipotent. Ken was on one side, I was on the other. Everyone was up getting their hands warm around the fire, and we just felt like we had to keep chucking the flies out there. And I actually did feel good. Some of the old-time guides talk about a sixth sense, and they can just tell when they're going to get a fish. I don't think I've got anything like that, but I do know that if your fly's in the water, you got a chance, and I figured we'd just take an extra 10 or 15 minutes, and today it worked out for us. Oh, there we go!
Yeah!
Good fish!
There you
Good
go!
fish!
All right,
There we go!
there you go, mate.
Perseverance is omnipotent.
Perseverance. There you go, man.
That's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, isn't it?
Yes.
Not a real big one, but a good fish. There we go. There we go.
Keep chunking, huh?
That thing hit like a freight train. I was up getting ready to eat lunch high on the hill, had a beautiful view of what Bill was doing.
Yes.
And when I finally saw the fish jump the first time, I knew he had a huge fish. And I just sat there kind of and soaked in all the beauty and was pulling for Bill the whole time.
Golly.
Woo! Nice fish. Yay! It hit like a ton of bricks. We were fishing, it was pretty heavy current, and you're fishing a 45-degree angle downstream, so the fly is swinging fairly quickly, and this fish came up and down very hard, and the line just stopped dead, and my arm went down quite hard, and then it got a look at me and came out of the water and did a couple of tail walks and somersaults and took off down the river way into the backing, and I think we knew we had a pretty nice fish. I got 8 pound. It's probably about a 12-pound fish, 13, 14-pound fish. Woo-hoo.
Gee whiz.
Not a happy fish. Push too hard here. Still strong.
I was straight across the river from it. It was a lot of fun watching it. Sort of got my enthusiasm up a little bit.
What's great about this trip also is fishing with Bill Taylor, who is the president of the Federation, and Bill is a wonderful guy to fish with. It's obvious he is really into it. He hadn't fished in a while, but he'll stay with you all day, and we're just trying to keep up with him. Woo-hoo-hoo. Not quite. No, I'll tell him. He's hooked pretty good. This fish today was probably only 15 or maybe even 16 pounds at the most, but it was way into the backing a couple of times. These are exciting, powerful fish that fight for a long time, and I think when someone sees it happen, you just want to get out there and make it happen for you too. Ah! Woo, that water's cool. Can you get the hook out for him? It's a barbless hook. Atlantic salmon, the Atlantic Salmon Federation, we've done a lot of research on the impacts of catch and release on Atlantic salmon. There's no question that the survivability of Atlantic salmon hooked and released is upwards of 98%. So virtually every single fish survives if you do it properly. Hands are frozen. Oh. That's a good fly. I've caught a lot of fish in that fly in the fall.
What I do enjoy is coming on a lovely river here, great environment. It's nature that I enjoy. Catching a fish is a bonus. I've dressed a Monroe killer, which is a great fry, which is what we're dressing now, for my friend Peter at his request, and he's caught all these fish on the Monroe killer and his top rod in the camp. So the poor man has to share all his profits with me because I contributed to his success. I give these flies to my friends, but I do not sell them at any price. One was quite insistent, so I said, well, how about $500? He called me a thief. I didn't want to sell them the fly, I just wanted to make the point. I said, I'm not selling it. He said, well, I said, well, if you're stupid enough to pay $500, here we go. He went. 2 more steps, the black and the blue. The major problem in dressing flies is that you tend to put the material too far up, and then you cannot make the head. The head is too close. Now, as you know, I love to tie flies just as much as reading a book, because every time you tie a fly, you catch a salmon. All you have to find is the river. That, my friend, will swim.
The Real Guys have been brought to you by Pennzoil Marine, the right equipment for fishing. In part by CCA, the Coastal Conservation Association is dedicated to the conservation and protection of marine life. And by T-Bore Reel Corporation, makers of the world's finest fly fishing reels.
In the last 4 years, Tommy and I have been fortunate enough to meet some wonderful people from all over different parts of the country that we never would have met without the luck of doing the Real Guys show. And through this, we have been able to help promote some conservation and also see conservation through the eyes of different types of fishermen.
The Atlantic Salmon Federation is an international conservation organization based in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, but we're truly international in scope. There's been a very steep decline in Atlantic salmon populations globally. Particularly here in North America, we've seen the population of the important large spawners drop from somewhere in the vicinity of nearly 1 million fish 20 years ago to less than 200,000 the past couple of years. So the Atlantic Salmon Federation is working very hard to address all of the threats facing the Atlantic salmon, both in the freshwater environment as well as in the marine environment. We are very involved at the grassroots level through our regional councils and affiliate organizations, doing things like habitat restoration, habitat improvement, local stocking programs. We get children involved through the schools, and just good stewards of the rivers. The good news is that where 1 million Atlantic salmon were killed in commercial nets just 20 years ago, there'll be less than 10 or 20,000 killed this year. So we're very optimistic about the future, and the Atlantic Salmon Federation feels very good and very proud about the conservation efforts that we're leading, right from the very grassroots level, the people living right along the river, to the large-scale international research efforts.
Salmon are a wonderful, robust creature. I believe with a little help from their friends, they're going to be here for a long time, perhaps not in the massive numbers that they were here before. If we can win even some of the battles we're currently fighting, there could be a wonderful surprise for us in the years to come.
We do get a good feeling, and every year the highlight of my fishing season is finishing up here on the Miramichi with my wife and 2 little girls who are now 8 and 5. 2 years ago, they both caught salmon, so when they were 6 and 3 years old, they had landed and released an Atlantic salmon. So they know all about catch and release. It's kind of neat when you get a little kid like that who would never dream of ever killing a fish or even killing, you know, a little trout or a little salmon part. And attitudes are changing, and that makes you feel good.
I gotta see this. It's a pretty time of day, anyway. I gotta see this.
Salmon? Good stuff.
Right.
Take our time.
Did he hit that dry fly? Yeah. Huh? I thought it was a 3 or 4 pound fish initially, but it was probably about 30 inches long, probably close to 10 pounds. Pretty long and skinny and dark. I fought him for a long time, back and forth, and I was surprised how strong he was. Yeah, look at that.
Did he come up on top and hit that?
Oh yeah, just hammered it.
Oh man.
One of those afternoons you would never forget. I took a lot of pictures that afternoon just to kind of remind me.
Yeah. There he is, he's gone. It's a good release.
Long line
Good
release.
release. That's all right.
That was exciting.
All right. We go get the other one. Oh man. it's like going through. I was just fixing to say it's kind of like safari.
What'd you do? Step in a hog hole?
Hog hole. I stepped in a hog hole.
Hog hole.
Ooh, there's another nice one right there.
Boy, the Atlantic Salmon Federation has done some incredible work there, and we should all be really grateful to them. If you're into fly fishing like